Hello, Thassies. Settle down. It's a long one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun episode, but it definitely feels like long.
And there's nobody better to literally stick out the next 80 minutes with me than Ivy.
Hi.
ProtagonistIvy, even.
How are you?
If I may be so bold. I'm great. I'm really nervous and excited.
Yeah, me too. I rewatched this the other night, and it was the first time I'd rewatched it since it aired. I kind of got to enjoy it outside of just like clinging to the TV while it's airing, if that makes sense. So
I must profess, I wasn't openly weeping into the television set. I was very pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this story. Ivy's been having a tough go of it lately. All of her favourite fictional women have been bursting into flames.
yep, happens to the best of us. Happened to my buddy one time. Well, I think you mentioned that you wanted to do Power, and I was kind of like, well, now that you mention it, we can't not do it.
I feel like I can say stuff about every single scene, set piece, and line of dialogue. For better or for worse.
Yeah.
It's very loaded. Very, very loaded.
I love this whole opening scene. It's so fast-paced. It's such a crazy, entrance, and like I said, I just love the Cybermasters.
Well, I love picking up, midway through an adventure. That's always my favourite stuff. I like how it's personality first, action second.
Yeah.
Doctor Who's going to be really good at that if we're going to be getting more action set pieces in the near future. It's super expensive. It's the most expensive thing we've ever seen in Doctor Who right now. But it's also still a little bit cheap, and I can't quite work out whether it looks good or not.
Especially if you have a limited budget, it's hard to make things look super great, so I'm not ever really too heavy on that.
We're Doctor Who fans.
We have evolved. We are your Cybermasters.
They've evolved. They're better. They're stronger than ever. They take 30 seconds to electrocute a person.
They've devolved. I do love Dan, but I think how quickly he's kind of written off in this episode is almost comedic.
It's very comedic. It's a story of creative constraints. You've got COVID, and you've got the fact that the special happening at all was a last-minute surprise miracle.
Yeah.
So they're having to bend and weave around so many production issues that it is admirable.
Right.
At the very least, Chibnall does make it relevant to YAZ's exit later. So even if it's not how you structure a story in the fucking slightest, I can admire it. I think it still adds something.
The Doctor knows.
Oh, I love that. That's the master part of things coming in. And I just I didn't notice that, I don't think, when I first watched it. Jamie Magnus Stone looks like a surfer dude in a good way.
Yep.
Ace, 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 ace. Sophie Eldred is so nice. I met her at Gallifrey 1 3 times, and she's so cool.
Ivy went to Gallifrey 1, has watched Power of the Doctor with Chris Chibnall and Jodie Whittaker? Is that true?
Yeah.
I was in really two minds when Tegan was in the trailer, when she came back. Threw me for a massive loop because she is easily one of my favourite companions ever. I think she has the best exit.
Can I confess something to you?
Please.
I have never watched an episode with Tegan yet.
There's one called Time Flight. You gotta watch Time Flight.
Yeah?
I mean, this is her all over. This is just her till, this will be Tegan till she dies, this personality. So my initial reaction on the trailer when I see her shooting guns with Ace is an immediate eye roll. I think Tegan had one episode where she held a gun as Cyberman. It's the Russell T Davies playbook of all the companions come back with big sci-fi guns that I despise.
Yeah.
But there's so little of that in this episode. I just think Tegan's such a clever pick for stuff that comes later. Now, is Chris Chibnall aware that Tegan might have been in love with the Doctor? I don't know.
Ooh.
Was he aware that Tegan's exit makes her a perfect comparison to YAZ? I don't know.
I'm gonna write that down.
It probably is just because he has that 80s fan brain. I think I'm the only person online who's yeah, if Ivan Tegan had a thing.
Oh. I know a lot of people ship her with Nissa.
Yeah, and my ship isn't counter to that at all. I think if Ace can be a canonically bi character.
Really quick, I forget that he still doesn't have a house. His house really got destroyed, and the Doctor was like, I'm not gonna help with that.
Why would you draw attention to that? Why would you not just, a quick line?
I would have at least put him up in a hotel.
In fairness, the Doctor doesn't actually know who Dan is or what he's doing there.
Yeah, well, that's why I kind of get confused about this little shot here where she looks like really upset, but I'm like, you barely know him as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, that's YAZ's companion. That's not your companion.
Also, this part kind of makes me a little bit mad because it makes me just think about Rusty.
I miss Rusty. If I'm playing my Chibnall bingo right now, which I actually did make a bingo sheet, I remember. I'll try and find it and put it over this. If we're playing the bingo, I'm crossing out the ignore something from the Moffat era right now.
Ah.
You know what? This episode has all of his Chibnallisms in it, and it's completely unapologetic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change any of it.
He's kind of a Chad Chibnall.
I must profess, I think I've put in a Chibnall bash into every single Who track I've done so far. I don't mean to. It's just low-hanging fruit.
I think people need to understand, like, you can criticize writing and not criticize the person. Like,
yeah, but I called him Crispnall.
At Gallifrey 1, he was hanging out in the karaoke room, and I was like, please, sir, please do karaoke. Like, please. I was waiting for it, and it never happened.
Doctor in distress. Oh, look, you can see the little cyber moon up there.
Oh, I didn't realize that. My baby girl walking in.
Oh, dear.
Sorry, I just need to dedicate a moment to my wife, my soulmate. Rasputin, not the master.
Oh, right. That's way more dodgy.
No.
I'm looking at my Twitter DMs right now, and it actually, am I right in saying, if you insult my baby girl Dawan master, I'm killing you through the screen instantly.
Yes.
Now, Ivy,
Sam.
I'm in the clear because I think Dawan's great in this.
Okay.
I think he's great in this.
Okay.
Annoying, so annoying, but that's the character. It feels like they're putting Dawan through the ringer because they know we've only got him for one more episode. Let's get him to do like 5 different masters.
Yeah.
And it comes across a bit like Split, like he's got like multiple personality disorder or something.
I think it was you or somebody else mentioned that sometimes it can be like a bit overkill or something.
He's a hammy man.
Yeah, I personally think that he's after Missy, and I like the idea that he's kind of like having a bit of an identity crisis. So yeah, my reading is that he's just throwing stuff at the wall to try and get back to normal, and it's like not working.
His most recent complex was becoming more like the Doctor, so this one's, you know, making the subtext into text, and I love that. I actually got the Master's plan and this spoiled for me. It did actually leak in February of that year. Some dots connected in my head when I heard he's going to literally become the Doctor. I thought, my God, if that rumor is true, I take back everything I've said about the Spy Master. It's a spectacularly stupid idea that works thematically somehow.
I love the Cybermaster so much. I really like the idea of like Time Lords being in there and they're just constantly regenerating. Like, that's horrifying.
Gallifrey does go on. This is them. That one was actually Romana. Fun fact.
Oh, no, it was not. That's a lie.
In the years back, people will try and find the highlights of this era, and I will always say it is Jodie Whittaker running upstairs.
Yeah. If I can plug something for a minute, I'm trying to schedule like a 13th Doctor rewatch week by week, up until the 60th. And I'm excited for it because there's a lot of the episodes I haven't seen since they aired.
We used to be you decades back. I see.
So, it is a school reunion beat.
Yeah.
That's fine, I think, because I'm not focusing on Kay or the Doctor or Ace or Tegan in this. I'm watching YAZ because her reasons for leaving have already started. There is actually a I'm going to leave moment halfway through the episode. I'll point it out when we get to it. But come on. She's looking at a woman who has literally just said, you're going to be waiting for the Doctor forever. Tegan is a perfect pick for this story.
Oh, I love this bit. No idea why it's relevant to the plot, but it's brilliant all the same.
It's bad.
Yeah.
The digital horror of AI art. I have a quick question. I've put this to a poll on Twitter before. Most smackable Dawan master persona in Power of the Doctor. So we've got Goblin Twink Professor, Seismology Bitch, Sad Boy Rasputin phase, the nervous post-regeneration dude, and the full camp Doctor cosplay at Gallifrey 1.
God, well, I don't, he's my baby girl. I can't pick either.
You're gonna have to smack one. It's non-conditional. If it does help at all, Goblin Twink Professor won this poll overwhelmingly.
That's unfair. I think he's, I don't know if I could smack this one. He just kind of seems like he's chilling. No, I don't think I can pick one.
Of all the Masters, I feel like you could beat Dewan just by giving him a little slap. I think he would burst into tears.
See, okay, that little scene there with a bit of a conversation stopper, that was a little, like, MCU quippiness that I was just like, okay, you didn't have to put that in there.
Thank you.
I was like, you didn't need that
I'm
bit.
glad you said it. Complaints of mine I have about the Dewan Master is half of his dialogue sounds like trailer lines.
This is the day you are erased from existence. Forever. Because everything is about to change. Forever.
Like, if he's not getting paid by the marketing department, there is an injustice. I love him here. Of all the personalities, this one really works for me because he's finally doing the goblin, weedy, pathetic stuff I love from the Master.
I have to say, the gun bit, in its defense, classic Doctor Who, does that stuff a lot. So, you know.
I like the Doctor compromising YAZ. It is my favourite dynamic the two share. My friend Jack came up with the best idea is, what if that act right there is what leads to the Doctor's death in the end? What if that gun, because, you know, Chekhov's gun, if there's a gun, you better fucking fire it. Chibnall.
Literally.
Chibnall's never heard this rule.
Yeah.
What if that gun is what YAZ uses at the end, brainwashed by the Master, and shoots the Doctor, rather than Kwank's space laser?
I don't know. I think it was 50-50 for me. Like, if they didn't do it, I wouldn't care.
Back in the day, I was thinking, make YAZ a division member. That's a crack cannon. No. Don't go, that's a bad head cannon. But this one is more like, in all their time together, the Master's real plan is to slowly hypnotize YAZ, leading to that final trump card he plays at the end. It works their dynamic.
He was so buddy-buddy with her in Spyfall. So I think it works, and I think it would be...
It'd be drama.
Yeah.
It would be scenes. It would be messy scenes. I think that ending for 13 really works because it's, you know, her failures come to roost in YAZ, and it gives them a really good reason for splitting up at the end.
Oh, Tegan Joe Funker.
How's your Auntie Vanessa? Do you keep her in a little doll's house?
You need to get Martha Jones in that room right now. I didn't know that he shrunk her aunt, so I was like, what does that mean?
That's a weird insult. No, it's literal.
Last time I saw you, you were half cat.
Man's allowed to experiment.
This is the best scene in the whole thing.
It's amazing.
And it is just old characters from the past talking to each other. It takes no effort to write it, but somehow we still made the best version of this encounter. This here is the moment YAZ decides to leave.
Yes!
I can't keep doing this with you. Running from one place to the next, never explaining. Sorry, no time. Make time.
I was just about to break in because I needed this scene of her confronting the Doctor, because don't get me wrong, I love Phasmin and I love when there's a little bit of angst and, you know, stuff in ship dynamics, but like there's a point where it's a little bit too much.
There's lots of dynamics that could justify it, but I don't believe it with 13, or if I ever did believe it with 13,
yeah,
it should have been resolved by now, because it's been the finale of like 4 different stories at this point.
It does get like grating sometimes, where it's just like, what is your problem?
Exactly, and Can You Hear Me makes the best
Yeah.
case for it, the most sympathetic case for it, but I don't believe she is socially awkward as an incarnation. I think she just has a weird power dynamic with her companions. And I don't think they ever get quite to the bottom of that. What's the line of dialogue? It's, I can't keep doing this with you. That's a companion exit scene. Don't blame anyone if it gets lost in the mix of this madhouse episode.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. We're 32 minutes in, and there's already been like a lot going on. But in a good way, because I think when you've got an episode this long, you kind of really have to keep it going, because the second, like for me, if it had really slowed down for a second, I would have just kind of started to tune out. So,
or started to think about the plot, of which there is almost none, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's all the Chibnall stuff that he could ever want to put in an episode at once. It's another flux worth of ideas.
Fair, because if I was showrunner and it was like it's my last episode, I would be doing everything.
As we get his era, like on the final hour, in the 11th hour, over the final step, I can't complain because it's what's to be mad about.
Yeah, the music cues in this scene were pretty good.
I think other than maybe there's that one track from Flux I love, but this is
beautiful.
Thank you. This is Akinola's best episode, I think.
Yeah,
because he's having to keep up with a script that needs constant stings. It needs the Dalek theme, it needs the Master theme, and it's
yeah.
It plays like a best of hits compilation.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that shot. It's the first time I've ever been convinced there's an actual army invading. Hey, and if you don't like the shooting, surely you love this scene at least.
Yeah.
Daredevil, putting you to shame. I mean, that was an ugly cut, but the rest of it, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I didn't even notice until you pointed out, and then I was like, oh.
Such a good plan.
I'm so glad I cloned you. Like, what does that mean, sir? They...
Who cares?
If I could say something controversial, they definitely explored each other's bodies.
Oh.
And I just...
Oh, okay.
It just seems... Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go for a really long, awkward pause. You know what? We're at the halfway point.
Yeah.
We can afford an awkward pause at Ivy's expense.
I'm sorry. They hated me because I spoke the truth.
No, it's fine. Let's bask in it, I think. And we'll think about what we've said and the things we've done, and yeah.
So anyway, how about that Dalek over there? That's pretty interesting.
Whoa, crazy. He was like a good Dalek? That's
Oh.
mad. There's a whole episode in that, and he's just been killed. Because you know what? We're looking at our watch. We're pushed for time. Chibnall, his time is running out, and he's got all these ideas. It just, why weren't they in his series?
Mm-hmm.
We went, how many Arachnids in the UK empty episodes did I sit through when he's got like valid, interesting ideas at the very end? He had time.
I love Yaz having to fly the TARDIS.
She does everything right. She saves the day. She does everything, and it's still not enough for the Doctor to trust her and take her in and confide in her. What is this lady gonna have to do?
This set is gorgeous, by the way. I believe they built this set. This isn't... I can't confirm that because I might be misremembering, but I believe they did build this.
Either way, the entire Rasputin subplot is only for him to get this building for the weekend. Him being Rasputin and all the paintings has nothing to do with the plot. All the Rasputin stuff could be cut like that. You'd lose nothing other than a bit of a funky getup.
Mm.
It is literally...
I personally think he learned the dance and he was like, how I need to make this relevant. I think he learned the dance first.
Complete coincidence, yeah, but why does Dewan's master have such a fixation for... He's a Russian file, whatever that word is. He's a weeb. He's a comrade. Such a good plan. Yeah, most of his time in Russia was just to procure this one building. I have another tweet for you, Ivy. This was from September.
Why'd we get so quiet?
Because I'm scared. September 20th, 2022. I have been terrified for weeks that I will have to see the Dewan Master doing the Russian squat dance. It's scary because it's in character. Please, God, don't subject me to more cringe, sir. Just go in peace.
Is that you? Did you tweet that?
That was me. That was me.
Ow, you bastard. He was literally just stretching there. He's getting ready.
He's gearing up for the lover of the Russian queen.
He is! Because he knows what he's about to do.
It's a cultural turning point. It's like when the towers fell. Like, where were you when the Master started singing Rasputin by Boney M?
The way that it just ends, he does the dance, and then that's it just ends the scene so abruptly.
Yeah, you can tell that he was ready to keep going. He did keep going. I wouldn't say Chibnall's a man who's really holding back in this story. if you've got 90 minutes, why not put the whole fucking thing in?
No.
This master, this is the one I would smack. I hate this one.
Yeah.
I hate how he does complete 180 in personality.
Yeah?
This doesn't work for me.
See, I really like that they kept the outfit, they kept the earring, like everything. The haircut, I mean,
The haircut
could have.
needs some work. That's a little Sasuke do at the there. I appreciate Dewan's motive here in his personality shift, but with the big puppy dog eyes. But it's too back and forth. It's too 180, then another 180. The Master pretending to be the Doctor is a side hobby of his these days. In expanded media, it's every other story. I've heard a lot of people say, well, what has the Master actually stolen here? He's erased the Doctor, that's something, but in what way is he the Doctor now?
Yeah.
And I have to put my foot in. My 2 cents is that if you go back to Time Was Child, his argument is always about the genetic side of it. They keep talking about superiority in it. To the Master, this is about DNA.
See, but like, tarnish the name of the Doctor. Why couldn't you just like leave graffiti somewhere? I mean, I know that he goes all out, but I'm just like, you can't just like, I don't know.
I think you need to think a bit bigger, Ivy. He's had worse villain plans.
I was like, spit out my coffee. Also, when did he have time to change? Was he just talking to Yaz and he's like, okay, hang on, pause. I'll be back.
Don't go anywhere. Honestly, if you go anywhere,
Yeah.
you'll spoil the whole thing.
Yeah, just stay.
Also, you can fly the TARDIS, so don't do that.
Yeah. Maybe they were doing like a 2000s movie fashion montage. He was like, how about this? And Yaz was like, no. And then he goes back in and like adds.
That's where you hear the rest of Rasputin.
Yeah. This scene like altered my brain chemistry. Like, I don't remember like my exact reaction. But when Paul McGann shows up, like I do remember just shouting like, Paul McGann.
Yeah. I mean, when this happens, I'm expecting Ruth. I'm expecting the fugitive Doctor here, of course. Or maybe, honestly, for a second, I was like, Shutagawa, maybe? And I'm so happy it was David Bradley. I love watching David Bradley as the Doctor. He looks a lot cuter. He looks a lot more like Yoda. He looks like a chibi version of himself in this.
Aww. For me, it's a very comforting, like, encouraging scene without pushing it too much.
They're all rooting for her to not like jump over the edge, not to lose herself to this. You gotta keep fighting. She'll come back in like 5 minutes time, having been shot by a space laser, and they're like, well, what the fuck? You failed me, girl version.
They just like explicitly told her not to die, and then she shows up like, well, this is awkward. Well, that happened.
Part of me wants to slam on the brakes because it's nostalgia. Part of me is like, you've got this huge beloved history, why not draw from it? I prefer the wrapping to the actual cameos. I think it's a fantastic sci-fi idea. I love the Guardians of the Edge are all still pottering around in her consciousness. That's a great addition to Doctor Who lore. And I don't want to go back there, but it's good knowing it exists.
Yeah, like, it's a nice way to remind us that, like, the Doctor is, like, has had so many different lives, and that those lives still matter and, like, inform the current one.
It's a very dignified to bring back Old Man Davison, you know? Whittaker jump scared.
So did she know that when she was, accidentally shocked people that she was installing the AI? Because, like, I got confused about that. Like, why did she seem surprised when it shocked them if she was installing AI or whatever?
There is no way to know.
Yeah.
There is no way to know. This is the most batshit idea Chibnall has ever had. Oh, I know there's a lot of them. Look at that visual alone. Fucking hell. Oh, whew. The fact that the Doctor has an AI version of herself that can come along on the adventure, can fly the TARDIS, it can be any Doctor ever.
Yeah.
Please elaborate, Chris. Does that still exist? That exists in the TARDIS right now with David Tennant.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, it solos this story.
Yeah.
They had to try and find things for Tegan and Ace to do. Tegan gets the short end because what does Tegan do? She's not really an action star. She's a weird pick to bring back if you're making an action story. But Ace jumps off a building and she smacks a Dalek and says the thing. So, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a waste of Ace. It's not sitting right with some people that Ace apologizes to him.
Yeah, I've heard things.
And yeah, we don't know what the continuity is. At the very least, it's a different conversation that Ace and Seven have never had before. I think their dynamic in the EU and I think it's a bit one note. I like that she's also acknowledging, like, yeah, I'm not in the wrong, but I'm still sorry. It sort of makes it a position of pity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. I'm sorry we fell out. And I'm sorry I judged you. That's not the same as, yeah, you were awful to me in 10 years of media. And then he overtly makes it a paternalistic relationship. It's like, it works for me. Just maybe not for the reasons Chibnall intended.
Oh, Graham, hi.
Sure, come on, buddy. We've got a big team in here. Look, Vinder's here, alright? You can come along too.
Graham, I'll be honest, I can't remember like anything he ever did, but he feels like my granddad, so he gets the pass. I still see him and I'm like, glad to have you here.
It's welcome, but it does just make me want Ryan in it. I can't imagine watching any of this unless it's a communal activity.
Yeah, I get that.
Even though the TV stuff hasn't largely worked for me, the fact I've been able to like break down what doesn't work for me, and I've been able to talk about it with so many people, discourse after discourse, I've valued that for the last 4 years massively. It felt like we'd figured him out as a writer by the time this came out. So yeah. I was just like, what you got, Chris?
This was one of the scenes where I think I was kind of like, okay, in terms of the Cyberman not hitting their target. Like, obviously I don't want Tegan to get shot, but I'm just like, okay, it's a small, like, elevator shaft.
Hang on, that's your issue? Tegan drops down a whole building's worth of stairs and is fine.
Well, I don't know. I've fallen off some trees in my day, but I'm just like, okay.
I'm so sorry.
I really like this scene because Yaz says she's loved and stuff in terms of the doctor, and that, I love shit like that. Like, I'm a big softie.
It's a really great line. It's a thesis of the episode right there.
Yeah.
But then they include, even if someone steals your very existence. Oh yeah, I can relate to that. It's this really inspiring speech until she's like, unless someone reverse regenerates you.
Yeah. I just like it because she's basically telling the master, like, you have no friends.
Yeah, but like if Ryan had made it through to this episode instead of Yaz, he would have just said, you got no friends. He would have just said that, and that would have been funnier. You got no mates.
Don't let me go back to being me.
I think Don't Let Me Go Back to Being Me is saying the quiet part out loud.
Oh, the hand touch. The hand touch.
You're clutching at straws.
Vinder, I feel like, had so much potential. Like, I do kind of like him being here. I don't think it fits, but I'm still like, okay, I think I can excuse it because he seems like a swell guy, so...
I don't know if you know this. I sound like a mental person on this track. I had a bet going that he was the Doctor's birth father.
No, I
The bet on Vinder.
I liked that theory. I'm sorry, but I did.
I still think it. I thought when in the trailer, once we saw that Vinder was coming back, once we saw a timeless child-esque young kid, I was like, oh, come on. We're doing it. We're doing it. Have you ever seen The Five Doctors?
No.
No, you said no, Tegan.
I haven't.
I think that's the one for you, because this has big Five Doctors energy of, like, we've got everything.
Okay.
We've got everything, and there's small character moments.
Okay, I'll write that down.
Why you're here. But it's very endearing. It's very endearing. It's what Chris Chibnall probably thinks is like the best Doctor Who ever, and I think you see it reflected in this.
She's still not explaining anything then.
Look, we had a lot riding on this episode. You've got to put it back into context, everyone watching. We thought we'd get some finale to a 13 YAZ romance. We thought we would get finale to Timeless Children stuff. We thought we'd get finale to the Doctor opening up and sharing. And it doesn't do any of those, really. So it should be a massive letdown. But it's too fun.
Like, I know we briefly got that scene where Yaz confronts her and is like, you need to tell me what's going on. But, like, that should have happened a lot earlier.
It should be a story about that dynamic, and it's just not. It happens in the scenes in between 3 different blockbuster episodes happening at once.
He was signing autographs for free. he was like hanging out with people so many different times. Like, he just seems like such a chill, nice guy. And I really hope that he does more conventions and that people continue to like treat him with respect so that we can get him to kind of maybe open up and focus on his work a little bit more.
Exactly, please, because I'm begging.
And we can finally learn that bit. Like, I really want people to just keep giving him that open space and like that kindness.
It was an era of massive secrecy, and now that he's coming out and basically confirming some of his detractors, like, theories, like, yeah, we didn't have anything for this, or like, I wrote this in, I didn't actually intend it to go anywhere. He's sort of, he probably should stop speaking, but I don't want him to.
Yeah. Also, I do kind of like this bit with the steel. I think that's an interesting idea. But I think it begs the question of what happens if those volcanoes have to erupt for, like, natural reasons.
Are they still frozen? Is every volcano on Earth frozen
like,
into metal?
Just general Earth development. I just love the silent grandeur of 13. Like, I know a lot of people say that she doesn't get, like, you know, her Pandorica speech moments, but I think she's got, I don't think she needs it. Like, I just think she alone commands so much.
Even if she doesn't share that compassion with her companions all the time, I like how her big monologues are appealing to, like, empathy. It's always a very compassionate speech she'll make to a villain or to a creature that she's trying to save.
I just think, like, the Master's body is failing because of the Force regeneration. Could they not have just done the same thing for 13? Like, a giant laser, I don't know. It just doesn't feel very climactic.
To have her bloodlessly torn up by a CGI effect is quite odd for a revival Doctor, I think. And I'm just saying, imagine if it had been Yaz. Yaz comes out the TARDIS behind her holding a gun. The Doctor's in the middle.
Love this right here a lot.
Yeah.
You know, my little gay heart was like, oh my god, she's carrying her. See, okay, so this is where I'm going to start talking about the whole kiss thing, because I know a lot of people wanted them to kiss. But in my opinion, this scene is so intimate. Like, they are so close in this scene. I mean, you see it in a second, but, like, when they're holding hands, they're so close. They're just looking into each other's eyes. Like, I think it's so beautiful. Yaz is holding on to her as she's dying. Like, the way that she's trying to hold back tears, and they're, like, clinging to each other. Like, this is so beautiful.
If Mandip's in a scene, I am glued to her expressions, because she often tells the story, where sometimes the script isn't giving her that. She'll do it herself.
Oh my god, she's so amazing. I really don't think it needed a kiss. I mean, if you saw this with any other character, you would feel the same thing. That, like, this is a very close, loving moment right here.
I completely do agree. It does also feel like at some point in the fandom and all that fandom fan-made time, the goalposts were shifted at some point, where, like, we've all seen the fan art. It was a massive fandom wish. Like, what a great thing that would be to see that on British television. And lots of people were looking forward to it.
Like, I get it. Like, I'd play both sides.
Me too, ultimately. But I still find it frustrating how everyone had that response where it's like, well, they didn't need to kiss. We didn't want them to kiss. I was like, yeah, but we did, though.
Sometimes I feel that way as well. But I don't want those feelings to cheapen the moment. I don't want to ignore what we did get.
She's saying, like, I'll never forget all these moments I've shared with you. I loved all this with you. And then Dan and Ryan and Graham. And I've only just clocked for the first time, Mandip looks away, kind of like sarcastically. It's more striking what isn't being done here. More striking what isn't being said.
No, well, and I'm like, I always go back and forth in Doctor-companion relationships, but I like that they both acknowledge that, like, we can't really do much if we were to openly say we love each other. Like, that would almost make it worse.
I don't know. I like it. I see it more as Yaz getting out, growing up past her, than 13 coming to any real conclusion. And that's enough for me. I think I have to do this next bit alone, Yaz. Okay. Leave. Okay. He does seem a bit character development adverse. I'm going to leave it to the actors to do.
Yeah.
And they do still do their version of the scene really well. But when I look at Chibnall's scripts, He's more of a producer than a writer, I think.
That makes sense.
I
Yeah.
think he just wants... He's grateful that any of it's getting made. Barbara! Where is Barbara?
And then the doctor said, carrot juice, carrot juice, carrot juice.
I want to go home to Barbara. I've always wanted to see a TARDIS rehab group, and this is lovely.
Yeah.
Inadvertently, I think YAZ's exit, her story shows that you need a support group to recover from the Doctor in a bittersweet way. That links all the way back to Captain Jack in Revolution of the Daleks. Enjoy the journey while you're on it.
The feeling that it invokes is like, she's gonna be okay. Because the power of the Doctor is that she can go through this so many times and still be okay. And then she's always got those people to fall back on because of the impact.
Oh,
yeah.
I like that a lot more than the power of my friends. Shonen. I like that a lot more. That I can take on anything the world throws at me and come out of it a new person. Because that's Twice Upon a Time revisited.
Should have been the Broadchurch clip. Just bring it all together.
David Tennant's looking up. David Tennant looks up like, hang on, what? What?
I do remember just being like,
And a whole new era of cynicism begins.
I'm not a hater. People would say I'm a hater, but I was like, oh god.
I don't have enough feelings or hours in the world to tell you how I feel about this, because I honestly don't know. I'm amazed that that's the longest Doctor Who episode ever, and we were still like lightning round everything, because there is something massive to discuss in every single scene.
Thank you, Ivy. Thank you, Chib. And thank you for subscribing and listening to my Thatty fanfic on youtube.com.